Japan may have been the circuit that the RPL title was decided at last season for RPL F1. However, this time, it's round 4, and it's the earliest it's ever been in an RPL season. RPL F1 season, to be clear. But welcome along, folks. And it's time to figure out if Leo Lund will take 4 in a row. McLaren's never done so in any tier. Leo Lund has never done so himself, and this has only happened a few times with drivers going 4 or more in a row. Let's find out if the Swedish driver can do just that. I'm your commentator for tonight, Ryan Searles, and alongside me is RPL Titan Iron for yet another Japanese Grand Prix. It's good to have you. In the first Japanese Grand Prix, Titan, we had a last lap battle for the race win between Owen and Port Liboot. For yesterday's race, Titan, we had a last lap battle between JTK and Hunted. Will we see a last lap battle today? What will we see? What do you think we're going to see ahead of us for tonight's Grand Prix?
It's gonna be quite interesting to see what will happen at a track like this. And welcome, and good evening, afternoon, everyone, wherever you guys are watching our stream. It'll be quite interesting to say the least. I do know that that Suzuka not only has like last lap fights, but also where specific rivalries come to a severe head in regards to it, I believe TB and Reese, they had to come together a couple of seasons ago at this track. It is just wild with how Suzuka can be in not only just tier 1, but in any tier. You have the tight S's throughout the entirety of Sector 1. You have 130R, where will anyone possibly do an Alonso-like overtake? That is yet to be seen, but it'll be crazy to see if it'll happen. Well, like I said, not just tier 1, but pretty much any tier in general. Suzuka always brings high octane fights and even some crazy, wild crashes too.
Well, I will say this. We have a race to go off of in real life with this circuit from F1 in the real season prior. So that's the good part. And I agree with you. There's a lot that has ended up happening at the circuit with rivalries. Another thing being brought up with this circuit and rivalries in terms of on-track action, Skither versus Reese last season for the battle for the podium. That was all clean and fair, though. Season 8, you had Reese and Cryptic clashing together. There's just so much to go over. We'd be here all day, but we got to go over our winners throughout the weekend so far. Tier 3 and Tier 2, we had 2 Welshmen win. It was George and Hunted. F2, Tadpole and Skither. And we'll go over our Japan history, but last season here, Cookie won. Last week, Leo Lund won in Australia. It was a chaotic race. It was Leo Lund, then Gecko, then Speed on the podium for VCarb. We have lots to go over. You can already see it on the bottom of our screen, Skither in the Haas. He's clearly not happy with the Ferrari and chose to go to that car and let J&T have the Ferrari for tonight's event. That is why he is in that car. I noticed. We're waiting on loading in.
No, not that. I will have to bring that up.
Team principals. Oh, yep. J&T changed something. It was Robin being brought in, having to serve a qualifying ban. If that was what you're going to mention, unless it's something else.
Yeah. So, I'm actually wondering.
Oh, you cut out.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just typing it in because I am bringing it up to them because they will be facing penalty. Because, and I'm sorry for bringing it up here.
You're good, don't worry.
Contract rulebook. Section 1.
Oh boy.
Rule 1.8. Drivers who are contracted to the slowest car in their academy are allowed to reserve for a faster car in their academy. But drivers in the faster car cannot reserve in the slower car. If there is contracted to Ferrari, he's not allowed to be boss.
All right. Well, there you go. I was going to mention it after this race, but you've jumped the gun for me. So there you go. There's that. It is raining in Q1. When is the last time we saw rain at Japan, Titan?
Uh, for tier 1?
Yeah.
Let's see. Season season 3 is the only one that comes to my head.
I would have to agree based on what I've heard in the past. We have cars going out on track, though, regardless of the weather on the circuit. Headlines, things to go over. You already mentioned the whole thing with Skither and J&T. You are exactly right. However, let's talk about some drivers maybe making debuts. Robin made his RPL debut yesterday in Tier 2, reserving in Tier 1 for tonight. Also, with that being said, he's having to serve a qualifying ban, as you will notice. John is in the Alpine. That is a driver reserving from Tier 2 as well. The Chiller moving to Mercedes after resolving his contract at Kicksauber. Lewis Piper in the car for tonight. Hunted full-time now at McLaren, full-time in Tier 1 as well. Minico dropped down to a reserve. You have Wavy Knife in the Williams tonight. Red Fire on the Aston tonight. And Cam could not make it as well. He is switched over to Ferrari Academy in a trade. And I think that might be it. Kieran full-time at Williams after FX7 Danny removed himself from full-time competition. So there you go. There is all the changes there before tonight. We got that done before our qualifying runs, Titan. How lovely is that?
Yeah, that's gonna be quite interesting to say the least. I'm wondering, with the rain being involved for Q1, is it for qualifying? Is this for the entirety of qualifying, or is it just gonna wrap up later on?
That's a good question. I've checked both Red Bull driver stream, and I've not been indicated of what the weather is like. I think they probably saw it before I could click onto it, and haven't checked it since, from what I could tell. The fake TB is on track, and Titan, he's a previous winner around the circuit. Let's take him around the circuit and then give it to Titan. Turn 1, turn 2, very, very tricky in these conditions, let alone as a whole. Tricky to keep it on the power, tricky to keep it on the track limits. The S section, I heard from Gecko and other drivers, you're going to see a lot of spins in this section tonight. It is so tricky on this game and much more different than last game. But for the fake TB's case, just get it through here. Get a lap in at least. Don't have anything go on. You're going to have 2 drivers eliminated based on pace, but you don't want to be one of those ones crashing out. Turn 8, turn 9 right here. A tricky section. Now into the second sector, 37.3. Again, TB trying to push the limits, but also keep it on the track limits. Sliding the rears now. And as we go to the second half of the lap, just want to remind people, the meta will be basically slide a little bit to find some time. That is how it was in the pre-patch. That is exactly how it is in the post-patch. Now into the final couple of corners of Sector 2. Take it away, Titan.
Yeah, so here comes TB heading into the spoon corner. Just easing down onto the gears, just easing back onto that power. Don't want to get too heavy on that power, you'll wind up losing it on the exit. But now back up through the gears, heading to 130R. Flat out in the dry conditions, and it looks like TB did do it in the wet conditions. Into the heavy braking zone at the Casio Triangle. Whoa! Way deep in those last couple corners. Hopefully that didn't affect them too much. But TB now comes across the line, set the benchmark, 41.5 for him.
I don't know how he kept it on the circuit, but we have yellow flags. That is a Kicksauber round. That is Lewis Piper. He is en route to start a lap, but he's just got to be careful not to get in the way of anybody. He may have gotten in the way of Gecko, the Ferrari over there. Red Fire crossed this lap. He invalidated. We have a Haas, that is Tadpole, who also invalidated. So the driver's having a tricky time with the track limits. Same can be said for Hunted, who also invalidated. Leo Lund is next. He had not invalidated. He'll be the second one across the line. And we'll find out exactly what these conditions are like for our drivers tonight. First, from these guys crossing the line. Leo Lund, 39.6 on the intermediate tire. Skither, the only one on different tires. That's the wets. Jack, who's good in the wet, 39.4. Beaten by Gecko at 39.2. Then a Kicksauber. That is Lewis Piper starting a lap. Mercedes in the background. That might be Josh or the Chiller. That is Josh. then to Chiller later on. Red Bull also having cars cross the line. I think that is Cookie. No, it's not Cookie. I see two different blue cars. That is, well, an Alpine and a Williams. Wavy and John John. Who do we have starting laps so we can cover that fully? Skither's about to start one. How about we go to Hunted, who's the new full-time Tier 1 driver? I think it's a good story to talk about Titan, that he won in his last Tier 2 start yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the Tier 2 stream with Hunter brawling with GTK. It was quite a thrilling war just to watch. Not gonna lie, it was really fun. It was really insane to watch him in action. And yeah, Hunted this morning changed from being in Tier 2 to being in the McLaren to being in Tier 1. He's in McLaren Tier 1 for Minico. Minico unfortunately having to depart from the team because he was just not having a good time. He was just not enjoying himself racing in the McLaren. But Haunted goes at the top, 39-1 for him. And I think once these guys start getting more accustomed to the conditions, these laps are gonna just scream through. As Leo Lund, by the way, 38-2, and Jack falls through with a 38-9.
You will see drivers do multiple laps in these conditions. That is a no-brainer. Gecko and others continue to cross the line. Josh goes second fastest. He's never been on pole before. We'll watch for him later on in Q3 when he probably gets there. Jack as well, good in the wet, went for another one. Hunted Gecko as well, but Leo Lund in control of the field. The Chiller, should mention him, the driver with emojis in 6th place. That's who that is. He is going up to a top team again, I would say. I'd say Mercedes bottom of the top teams. So fair play for the Chiller, getting a top C, even though he hasn't scored any points. Hasn't really proved anything for it. I say fair play because, well, Mercedes are filling the void of getting rid of Cam and trading him elsewhere, but also getting someone in return who is a previous Japan pole sitter and a previous champion. And he actually set a half-decent lap until those guys set a lap in later on. So I at least was going to give the credit for that. Now, it's a bit of a question. John first Tier 1 start, by the way. He's done a 9th. Wavy's got a lap in. He's the last of the guys who have a lap in. Red Bull has a car across the line. That is Reese, I believe, entering the pits, possibly, or something like that, or at least crossing and slowing. We have J&T we're riding on board with. One of the newer Tier 1 drivers in here. He is full-time for either Sauber or Haas. But racing in Ferrari tonight, 2nd week in a row. There was someone who improved up there. That was Red Fire up to 5th. Impressive stuff from Red Fire, a previous multi-time Tier 1 podium sitter. But J&T Gaming, who's never had a podium, is going up to 8th place. He won the championship, he won the Constructors' Championship here the last time Tier 2 raced here. And we still have drivers yet to cross the line and set a lap. Gecko extends the top of the table. Well, will we have anybody else cross the line soon here? We got Speed coming. Speed is into the final chicane now. The Casio Triangle. A famous set of corners around the circuit. You got 130R, Spoon Curve, Degnas, and the Casio Triangle, which he's navigated through beautifully. And he set himself 3rd fastest. Leo Lund also on a lap. Skither going to start a lap. But Cookie is entering turn 8 and turn 9 now. ERS. Interesting in these conditions. We'll find out how the drivers tackle it.
Yeah, it will be pretty interesting to say the least, and I'm currently on board with Cookie as he heads into the hairpin here. And speaking about what you mentioned about with the Degnas, I will mention this, in the right circumstance and everything, Degna 1...
you were saying?
Degna 1, by the way, sorry,
You're good.
Mishap
I saw you getting back.
Yeah,
all good.
So, Degna 1, under the right circumstances and the right entry, you can take Degna. You can take the first Degna, which is the first corner right at the start of Sector 2. You can take it flat out into dry conditions. You just have to have a bit of RNG on your side to make it work.
Well,
I've tried it.
Cookie will cross.
I've tried it.
Yeah, Leo Lund extends the top of the table time. Cookie goes to 3rd. That's his first lap. Leo Lund has been on 4 different laps at the top of the table, and you can already see 22% in that ERS for a bit of a moment there. Skither in Haas We've heard he should not be racing in Haas tonight. We'll see what ends up happening later on there. We have yellow flags in front of him. But for Skither's case in the Haas, what will he do? We'll find out from the American driver who ends up into 130 yard now, 21-4. We'll see what he ends up doing, the two-time champion here of RPL F1. A lot of field spread, I would say, Titan, in terms of this field with what we've seen so far. We'll get to that in a moment. First off, Skither to the line. This is not going to be a top 5 time at all, but where will it be? Across the line, 14th fastest, just a smidge ahead of Tadpole. Maybe regretting that decision to go to Haas. Maybe something to regret later on as well.
Yeah, so basically taking a look at everyone, we have only one driver yet to come out to get a lap in, and that is Samuel Drake Lee. He's the only one.
But he'll have a qualifying ban, I think.
Oh, he does have a qualifying ban?
I think he will. Depends on if he was in the lineup. We gotta check. He was in the lineup.
Oh,
Although
he
so he
he'll
got
go
saved
back.
there by Josh. Fair play to Josh. I didn't think he was in the lineup. I have to give a lot of credit there. J&T didn't do that for Robin, so fair play. Skither improving. Sector 1, fake TB on a lap. John on a lap. Who should we ride on board with? I think we should go back to the fake TB. He's won here before, Titan. That Season 7 race. Came back from moving. Beat Maxwell. It was one of the last times Maxwell was on the podium. It was the first time Cookie was on the podium. And TB somehow kept that ballad.
Yeah, TB. Yeah, I mean, with some of the corners that you can easily catch, like invalidations and stuff like that, like turn one, that's one area. Anywhere in the S's, if you're not careful, can be a pain in the neck. Take a look at if you take a look at a track map.
Ooh.
Wow, TB 4 fastest, very good stuff from him.
Who is it? Skither on what
take a
tires
look
earlier?
at the track map. Where the Mercedes have just gone through, and where Jack is. If you catch that outer curve, just wide, you can wind up going completely off the track. The Degnas, that's another area where you could see track limit warnings, invalidations, and penalties possibly. Some people might take it a bit too late or a bit too early. That's another spot you can catch track limit warnings and penalties. But also the spooned corner, as I mentioned a little bit ago, that is an area where you can find yourself in trouble if you're not careful. So primarily the Degnas and Spoon, but you may see it possibly in the S's and the others. As Hunted, by the way, I think Hunted just went up second.
Yes, he did. There was someone else who did some movement as well. I think that was Skither and John. I'm on board with the Chiller right now. But I was saying, Titan, I think few minutes ago we had Skither before he went out. He was on wet tires, or at least thinking about it, as Cookie goes fastest in Q1. I feel like the wet tires are really useless at this point because, well, as you could see on track right now, yellow flags up in front. That's a Ferrari off. That is J&T or Gecko, one of the two. That would be one of the Ferraris, obviously, as you can see on the runoff now. I was just going to say, wet tires basically being useless because look at how much these guys are improving, whether it be a second or third lap or even a sixth lap for Gecko. They're improving by quite a bit. So for one of the drivers earlier on, I believe it was Skither, to go to wet tires and then go back to inners, I don't think we're going to need him at all at any point now onwards. The Chiller, talking about that curb you're talking about, you can get caught up by it. He just went through it right here. This is where Cryptic and Reese collided in Season 8 that we were talking about. This is where a lot of overtakes happened in the F1 Tier 1 race last season into 130R. Reese Dainty feeling under the weather tonight. Didn't mention that prior. He's gone fastest.
Yeah, like I said, as these guys start getting more accustomed to figuring out any of the bugs and all that stuff with the lining of this course, they can easily pull off more and more faster times. You'll see that happening as the Chiller, by the way, as you see on the screen, currently has emojis as his DA name. Is top of the board. Samuel Drake Lee.
I think his emojis will now be smiley faces, Titan. I think he'll be smiley faces with the emojis now for the Chiller. For being on top there. It's been a while. It's good to see you back at the top, the Chiller. I'm very proud to see that, actually. I think really maybe a wasted opportunity at the start of this game for him not being in a top car because he really had great pace in the pre-patch, post-patch, we really don't know because we hadn't seen a lot of him at all, whether it be a test or not. Reese Dainty has looped it at the hairpin, and that will cost him a bit. I think that was a car crossing the line. That was Josh going up to 6. We're going to have to keep our eye on a lot of things here as the session keeps ticking down in terms of time. But you did hear me right about a minute ago. Reese Dainty's second place, feeling under the weather. Don't know if you wanted me to mention that or not, but I really hope he can do well here tonight. With that being said, he's had a rough patch, 1 point in the last 4 starts he's made in RPL. That is very rare from Reese, a driver who's had 48 podiums in Tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying
you think he was in McLaren of 2020 at that point. Sorry, go ahead.
As you when you were mentioning it to me earlier during the F2 stream about my season not being off to the best of starts, Reese is following in the same thing. But also with him not being on the feeling under the weather, that is also another thing that can wind up messing him up a bit. But to be fair, we've had a few people race under the weather and badly sick, and they've still did pretty dang good.
He's done it before. He knows it quite well. He's retired from the session. Hunted LAX comes across the line to set at 3rd fastest. We've also got others crossing the line as well. The Chiller starting a lap, but hasn't validated it. So this will be it for him unless he races back to the finish line in no time. Lewis Piper currently sits in the bottom 5. Well, bottom 4, of course. Bottom 3 on pace. 2 seconds up then on the time. There was someone across the line. Wavy Knife is up to the top 12. Very impressive stuff from Wavy. He needed that. Decent points, I would say, from Wavy so far in the first 2 races of Tier 2, but the last 2 races have not been good, so we'll see what he does. But the rest of qualifying with 1 lap to go. Lewis Piper sets himself up to 12th place, just ahead of Wavy. That knocks Red Fire into the bottom 5, and we do have a car parked off. That is Wavy trying to get out of the way. I think his chance of getting another lap in is done. We have Red Fire, who's up by a second with that being said. And Samuel Drakely also off. Oh. He's broken his front wing. He's done in terms of trying to get a chance through into the next round of qualifying, but it's now up to Tadpole and Red Fire to get out of the bottom 4.
Yeah, absolutely. As those just coming in and checking it out here, we have 19 people. Would have had 20. We're just missing the Alpine. That would have been Zakaria, but Zakaria currently watching the Netherlands and Turkey match for the Euros.
Can't blame him.
I just took a look at the thing right now. They're about 21 minutes in. Score is...
Whoa!
Wowee!
I'm going to say this. For the first time in a long time, Red Fire is top of the table. Checker flag waving. Titan, we got to get the action. Tadpole's on a lap. Samuel Drake Lee won't be on a lap. And John looks like he's backed off. He's currently out. Maybe going to try a last-ditch effort. Checkered flag waving for drivers. Skither 11 Jack out right now. He needs not many people to go much faster in order to stay in. But Leo Lund, top of the table. Next up is Josh and the Merc. Sorry to cut in again, Titan, but we just have a lot of drivers coming to the checkered flag now. We'll see where they go and end up panning out. Josh, 3rd fastest in Q1. Next up's to Sauber. That might be Lewis Piper. He gains 1 place. So Jack Miles is at severe risk now. Samuel Drake Lee invalidated. John is up, but I think only just in the first sector. Second sector, tenths. This could still be touch and go. Checker flag, J&T 10th. Wavy into the pits. Samuel into the pits. We have the Red Bull and the V-Carb coming across the line. Speed goes up to 3rd. Jack Miles is still at risk. But with Tadpole and John, they need to beat Jack if he's going to be knocked out here. John first does get out of Jack. Tadpole's up by 2 seconds and could knock Jack Miles out of Q1 and the conditions that he's best in usually. Across the line, Tadpole knocks Jack Miles out of Q1. Aston Martin, a team that sits 3rd in the Constructors, have one of their drivers not here, and the other driver in P3. And also, the one driver that's the teammate of Eggs, out, as we mentioned.
Talk about a massive upset there. I mean, Jack.
Wow.
I mean, usually when we see Jack in qualifying, he's always in the top 10. We always see him there, fighting amongst between the 5th and 10th, somewhere around that field. Sometimes better than that. But for him to be 16th and out, that is a huge upset.
Speaking of huge upsets, Redfire Tiger up into the top 3. Fair play to this man. He is top 200 on certain tracks in time trial, but has not been able to translate that in Tier 2. The Tier 2 driver, the past Tier 1 driver in here, 3rd place. Leo Lund, Cookie, Redfire, AMS Speed, Josh, your top 5. 5 different teams up in that top 5. Out in qualifying, can't believe I'm saying it, Jack Miles, joined by Wavy, Samuel Drake Lee, and Robin. Robin on debut. Samuel Drake Lee, the other Williams driver, Wavy Knife, the reserve from Tier 2, and Jack Miles, the man who got Egg over to the academy, now has the Chiller, a good friend of his over there. Got a lot of changes recently in Merc Academy with a lot of trades. Jack Miles, did not expect him to be the one affected tonight. And I have to go with at least mentioning this once, Titan. This was put in the fun facts earlier today. You have drivers such as the following 10. 4 of them raced last week. Some race still, some don't. But Luke Range, DeChiller, TB, Reese, Skither, Maxwell, Jack, Mally41, Cryptic, and Matt GW, who are all top 10 in the drivers' standings for top 10 all time in terms of points. None of those drivers finished in the top 10 last week, the first time that happened since the first 5 races of this league. I will say that effect seems to be affecting Jack this week after last week. Even though he wasn't here, he was part of that top 10 list. So there you go.
I mean, like I said, I'm still a bit surprised about with Jack being knocked out, and yeah, as I was mentioning a little bit earlier, like I said, with Zakaria, he's not here because his team, Netherlands, they got Turkey, like their sports, they got nothing on the board for both teams. But what's really wild is that I think it's kind of crazy is that whoever wins that game, they're going to be facing England in the semifinals.
Wow. Well, it's crazy with that game being on. We have up to 20 viewers in Twitch chat. Let us know what you guys think so far. We had quite a bit yesterday in Tier 2, and I'm sure you guys enjoyed that action on the final laps of that race. We have Hunted in here, now moved up to Tier 1 after that race. He has had a lot of fast time trial times. It's translated quite well to races. That's been proven. Someone who has not really shown their pace translating from time trial to the race is Redfire. Finally, he was able to put in a decent lap in Q1. He said, although it's Q1, he needed that. He probably feels like Roman Grosjean from the 2016 Australian Grand Prix with how big of a moment that was for Redfire, a driver who probably has been demotivated a lot after being moved down from Tier 1 to Tier 2 in recent times.
I think that's a bit of a spur that Redfire needed there. I mean, to be fair, not to discredit Redfire here, for these types of conditions, the inters and the wet conditions, this is what makes Redfire thrive. Think back to Season 8 in at Zandvoort. Redfire
7.
with those mixed conditions from dry to inter, then back to dry. Redfire was in control of it right until the last quarter of the race when the Ferrari of Jacob hunted him down and took the lead, robbing Redfire of a Tier 1 win. He still finished second though, but Redfire put on and he was an Alpine at that time too. Redfire put on what was a crazy run back in that race.
Season 7 Netherlands, Season 8 Brazil, which was his last podium, Season 6 Brazil, a season prior in Austria, which I believe was a wet race maybe, or a mixed condition race, when he joined Matt GW and Luke on the podium. Redfire could maybe be looking for a 5th podium tonight if everything goes right. I don't even know the conditions for the race. I'm going to have to guess it was dry because no one else has said anything prior, but if I can get any information on that, that would be great for us two commentators in the booth. John, your driver is on a lap, and I'm sure with what we've seen so far in Tier 2 from this man, you've got to be impressed. A race win already in his 3rd start. Last time out yesterday in Spain, it was a podium finish, and he's in a championship battle, safe to say it, with JTK. So John definitely making a reserve appearance in his 1st start in Tier 1, has to be happy surely coming into tonight. Well, as you're typing, Titan, I'll take it over. With that being said, I'll let you do that and figure that out quickly. I noticed Casio triangle for John. He'll be the first one to set the benchmark for the other drivers. Skither, the only one not on a lap that is out on track. John across the line. The 37.2 is the time he is setting at the table. Leo Lund, 35.7. I think these times are improving. We might see it dry up a bit at the end of Q3. Red Fire goes second fastest, and although it's 6/10 behind Leo Lund, it's still a decent lap. Lewis Piper's fourth. Tadpole will be the next one to come across the line. He's another driver just like Hunted, who got moved up from Tier 2. Tadpole, it's only his second race, though, from that, and it's his second time having that happen. Big wiggle wobble, but Tadpole crosses the line to come fourth fastest. Cookie, invalidated. JNT also in the final chicane, invalidated there, too. Gecko, Reese, and now Hunted cross the line. They set laps. The others invalidated.
Just taking a peek on who's coming up next. We got the Chiller and his teammate Josh right behind. Here comes the Chiller now coming across. He's fifth fastest for Q2 at this present moment. Here comes Josh now coming across the line. He's only going to go seventh fastest. So,
wow.
I mean, with some of these guys, the wet condition, these interconditions, I mean, it will throw them off just for like the first lap or two, but right near the end, you're gonna see those times go up. And I mean, to be fair, looking at what the times, I think, truthfully, the only person I think is definitely gonna be safe. Actually, I might say two, I think, are definitely looking to be safe, is Leo and Red Fire. Everyone else, I think they're probably going to do another run just in case, just to see what will happen.
Skither put a lap on the charts. He is ninth fastest. Cookie is getting a bit of a slipstream from the Ferrari. I don't think he meant to give that, the Ferrari getting out of the way. That was probably Gecko. JNT invalidated again. Cookie now will try and drag this all the way to the line. We'll see what he does with it. He invalidated the last time. He's got a chance to put a lap on the board this time. Our Season 10 champion, Cookie, overtake button engaged across the line. Not fastest, but fourth fastest, ahead of Reese Dainty, who recently out-qualified him in Saudi Arabia. The fake TB on a lap. Speed about to start a lap. We're going to go aboard with the fake TB again. We've mentioned winner here in Season 7, but for the fake TB's case, can he get into Q3 for the first time this season? You spoke about him last week, Titan. Maybe having a Q3 appearance prior to this season. No Q3 appearance for TB so far this season, but he's had 2 qualifying sessions in Q2 where he came up 1 or 2 spots just short.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is going to be, I think with TB, I think he'll probably see himself in Q3 for the first time this season. This will be a good motivation for him. Not going to lie there. And I'm not sure. I mean, TB, I mean, he's had some moments racing in the main Red Bull. Did have some scraps with Reese back in Season 9, but that was Season 9. This is Season 11, but we'll have to wait and see what TB is going to be capable of. Here he comes into Casio Triangle as Leo Lund continues to improve on his time. 35.3 for him on that time. As more cars are getting their laps in, TB comes across the line. He is 8th fastest with a 37.0, and John right behind him, 5 milliseconds behind him in P9.
Lewis Piper switched off from having on the soft tires on his car to the inters in the garage. JNT Gaming, I don't know if this is the same lap or not, but invalid right here. Trying to figure out a way out of the bottom 5. Speed on a lap. We're going to watch him. Hunted set at second fastest. Gecko went third fastest. JNT Gaming going again. Lando Norris, a good friend of JNT's, predicting that he thinks JNT will miss Q3. Give us your predictions in the Twitch chat, folks. We don't have time to do it on stream from the 2 commentators right now, but we got to cover these laps, and we got to figure out what Speed is going to do. He had a very great race last week. 3rd place in that V-Carb. Their first podium in 3 seasons. Season 8 Canada. It's been a while since V-Carb got onto the podium, but the first under this new name, the first for them in Tier 1 in 2 games, the 3rd for them in terms of all tiers combined so far. They've had a few in Tier 3. But right now, He's approaching 130R. We're going to see how this man takes it. Let's go silent just to see how he does it. Flat out. Flat out. That's how you know these drivers are pushing, and maybe the conditions are getting better, Titan. 2 more corners to go. Let's see what he could do.
Yeah, just hippity hopping over the curbs here. Speed now coming across the line. Here he comes, and it is 7th fastest with a 36.3 for him. So Speed currently 4/10 ahead of his teammate. And TB looks like he's going to be going in for another run by the looks of it. But TB currently in at the bubble risk here, and currently in the bottom 5 with just about 5 minutes left. With 5.5 minutes left to go, it is John, Josh, Taphole, Lewis Piper, and GNT who's about to set the lap now. So possibly TB might be towards the back end. Nope, GNT's off into the pits. But that is your top. That is your bottom 5 at this moment. I think honestly,
really
in regards to.
Yeah,
I did see that. He almost hit the pit wall. Yeah.
Wow.
But in regards to possible upsets, if qualifying ended right now, Josh would probably be the upset of Q2 for elimination, but I gotta doubt Josh will take a Q2 elimination line down. He'll push his damnedest to get himself to Q3.
It is a dry race, by the way. For those of you wondering, I've received word on that. Speed, it looks like he's on a cooldown lap. Reese Dainty is on a push lap. Like we said about Reese Dainty, feeling under the weather tonight. 1 point in the last 4 races. He's having a tough time, and he seems to be having a tough time on the racetrack there. A big wiggle in Sector 1, but he is improving, though. 3/10 up in the time, so fair play for Reese. Losing the rear quite a bit. I think that's what you have to do a little bit in these conditions, but through certain corners like Reese just did, I don't know if you want to have that much of the rear stepping out like that. That's a bit of the concern. And for Reese Dainty's case, he does have a decent track record around Japan. A pole position in the Season 8 race here, but he doesn't like this track in this game as far as what he said to me prior to this event. So for Reese's case, I would assume that just getting some decent points would be the goal. Really, with this being a wheel track, he should be benefiting over Cookie. He should be ahead of Cookie, but we'll see if he ends up doing this into really the end part of Q2. He's got a Mercedes in front. Is that the Chiller or is that Josh? It is the Chiller. How will Reese handle the Chiller right there who's starting a lap? Reese, maybe a small lockup I heard on the wheels, screeching right there into the final couple of corners. Across the line now. Where will it be from the Season 9 champion? 5th fastest, just barely ahead. He was 3/10 up in the first sector and lost time in the last 2 sectors.
Yeah, well, because he had that little, he had a bit of understeer in the final corner. That's what cost him just that little bit of extra room, a little extra time. He could have seen himself possibly 4th, maybe into 3rd, had that stuff not happened to him at this moment. But we have some more cars currently on laps at this moment. Looks like Becco is the next one on his, but he's over a second down, so maybe he's on a cool down lap. Let's see. The Chiller's currently...
Josh is on a lap. He went off, though. Josh went off, and he's going to have to go again. I was not paying attention. I don't know if he backed off before then, but he was up 2/10 in the first sector, though, so Josh going for another one. John on a lap. That's the guys we could focus on. Titan, how about you take this away? This will be our last hot lap we go with. John, your own Academy driver here.
Yes, here he comes out from the Dunlop curve. Here he comes into Degna. A little off the throttle here, as it is with these weather conditions. A little slide through the second Degna, as he now gets back up to the gears, right to 6th gear, into the heavy braking zone of this tight hairpin here. 3rd gear, getting back to the power now through, let's see, this is what, turn 12, I think that is. I don't have the track map on my end, but here he comes now into the spoon corner now. Little right of the curve, don't want to ride too much of that curve or you'll go spinning. We have seen a couple of people spin out there in the past. But now, flat out, now into the end of Sector 2. There he comes now, let's see what he's got. Over 6/10 up, flat out through 130 yard, low right of the curve. He's got a Ferrari ahead of him. That could be G&T or could be Gecko. They're gonna get in a way, possibly. Answer is maybe not. but John John will slide about, but he's coming across, and he goes fourth fastest. Very nice stuff from him.
Track evolution, or just a good lap from John John, who's on wheel. Speaking of another driver on wheel, J&T Gaming into turn 1. This is make or break for him. He went a bit wide there, but hopefully he can end up recovering it for the rest of the lap and not invalidating Lewis Piper in the bottom 5 as well, an Academy teammate. He's a full-time Tier 2 driver. Tadpole's a Tier 2 champion also down there. The fake TB, also a champion, but in Tier 1 down there as well. J&T wiggling a lot there at the end of Sector 1 in Turn 8. 35-4 at the first sector. But again, you can't be having too many wiggle wobbles or else you will end up spinning out or losing time. You saw Reese Dainty have that happen as well earlier on. Drivers crossing the line, some trying to get in their final laps now or start their final laps. Chiller went second fastest. We're gonna have a lot of movement on this screen right now, but the one thing I'm concerned about is Reese Dainty. I just spoke about him a moment ago. 7th fastest, retired from the session. Don't know if he didn't want to go for another one, didn't have a chance to go for another one, or what happened there, but he is at risk, especially after seeing John John's lap. J&T Gaming has just a few more corners to negotiate, but will it be enough?
I mean, to be fair with Jack, he couldn't. He was told by this thing he didn't have enough time to get to the line in time to go for another lap. That's why he retired. That's probably what's going on with Reese. He may not have had enough time. But here comes J&T. He will finally get a lap in this final round, and it's fifth fastest for him. Way to go for him. John bails to the pits. Next up is the leader. Leader 1, who's nearly 4/10 up. We're going to be seeing a 34 appear here, possibly. Here comes Leo across the line. It's a 34-8 for him. My goodness, what a lap out of Leader 1 there.
Piper.
Here comes Lewis Piper, P15. He comes across the line. He goes 12th. Unfortunately, that is going to be the end of Lewis Piper for qualifying. Skiller coming across the line now. He goes the third fastest for him. Next up,
the fake TB invalidated.
TB is out. Yeah.
Again, 4th week in a row. Speed as well up on the charts. We got Red Fire
and
4th.
Cookie's gonna eliminate his teammate.
And he just did. Reese Dainty is out in qualifying again. More cars cross the line. Gecko up to 4th. Will there be anybody else who knocks out anybody else? Speed, Tadpole are the only ones who make the difference. That would knock J&T out, who got up to the top 10. Will they do it? Speed and Tadpole. Tadpole first. Tadpole only 14th. J&T Gaming is safely into Q3. Speed though.
Up.
Yeah, this is going to be the big one. Oh, Chiller. Did he crash out or did he just retire? What happened there? All right, well, there you go. There was a change in time. I think Josh got a last lap in. He went second. That's why there was movement. Speed knocks out John. We have a V-Carb into Q3 for a second straight week. But look at this Q3. 2 McLarens, 2 Mercedes, but this is where everything gets a little bit wobbly. 2 Ferraris, they're down to 5 and 10. 1 Aston, 1 Haas, 1 Red Bull, 1 V-Carb. This is going to be quite the session. 6,000s between J&T Gaming and John. The difference between getting into Q3. Leo, Josh, Chiller, the top 3. That's a top 3 I wouldn't be saying in a while, I would say. Hunted and Gecko in the top 5. Also, out of qualifying. The fake TB of former Japan winner, Tadpole, Lewis Piper, Reese Dainty, the big shock, I would say. Former podium sitter around here. And John making his Tier 1 debut. Probably not too disappointed around in 11th place, especially considering he's an Alpine. But with these conditions, it's the great equalizer, and he just couldn't equalize himself in comparison to J&T.
Oh my goodness! Oh,
Spit it out. Spit it out.
Weepy. Reese did it cocky.
Oh.
I was about to say myself, and I'm like, oh boy, I think Reese is probably going to begin the Sergio Perez comments. That's more than likely.
Well, Gecko has actually lagged out of the session, and J&T Gaming is thinking of soft tires. I did mention it was possibly drying up. That's why those guys who went out last got the best laps in. But we're now having a chance to talk about who will be getting pole position tonight. You have a Ferrari in here at the top of our table right now. It's because he hadn't set a lap. J&T Gaming. He has never gotten pole position in Tier 1. He's gotten many in Tier 2. Cookie, pole sitter 22 different times. Speed in here for V-Carb a second time. Never gotten pole position. Never started in the top 3, I believe, as well. Skither. He is in the Haas for tonight. Questions raised about what will happen to him. Will he be DQ'd after? Will he just be getting a different penalty? What will happen with Skither after he really went against the rules? That's the big question. But a Haas into Q3, maybe provisionally. Leo Lund
is back.
looking. Oh, yep. Welcome back, Echo. Leo Lund going for a third pole. Hunted going for a first pole. De Chiller has not had a pole since the season 9 finale. You have Josh as well, who's never had a pole but has had 2 or 3 front rows, maybe. He has the most wins with a pole, though, for Josh. And honestly, with how he's been doing, he says he's washed, but I would disagree. Track has been washed quite a bit, and it's allowed him to do quite well with it being said. Gecko in here hasn't had a pole since last season. Zandvoort and Redfire has had 1 prior front row, but that was in a similar session to this back in Portimao in season 5, where he stole the front row away in an Alpine. Redfire never had a pole position. Luke Range makes his daily appearance to an RPL. What is that McLaren doing? That is Hunted going into the grass. I'm just gonna say Luke Range making his daily appearance.
Josh doing the same thing. I think these two are just having a little fun with each other.
Well, you know, if you saw the NASCAR race at New Hampshire, you would have noticed that under the pace laps, John Hunter Nemechek and a few other drivers dipping their wheel into the grass, trying to find extra grip. I don't think that's going to work here. Redfire Tiger, our first one to set his sights on a lap. We'll give it to you in just a moment, Titan. But Redfire coming through turn 1 and 2. Tricky section for track limit, tricky sections in the wet. This is a tricky section as a whole. The S section. It's a very big wheel section, but through sector 1, you're going to see a lot of drivers spin or have trouble. It already happened to both Williams drivers so far in the earlier parts of qualifying. Redfire coming through turn 8, now entering sector 2, the 2 Degnas. What's the lap looking like? We saw 35s, now we're going to see a 34.7. The track is improving. We might see soft tires soon. However, we're seeing it from JNT first. Redfire, first one to come through sector 1. Will it stay purple? Doesn't look like it's gonna. Hairpin time now for him. Rear locking it, trying to find some time. And already on 92% in the ERS. Not using a lot, but fair play. Overtake button engaged now. And here comes the rest of the lap, the juicy part.
So here comes Redfire through 13 and 14 of the spoon corner. Not just feathering the throttle through that curve. Now back onto the power. This is just going to be all flat out for him. Overtake engaged as he roars down the straight, out into 130R. And just flat out through there. No issues there for them. And JNT's wrecked in the Casio.
Oh my goodness, we're going to see this from Redfire's point of view. That's at the pit lane. That is right in front of Redfire's car right there.
My God.
Redfire sets the benchmark, 34.8. Big for JNT Gaming to crash out of the session. We have the Mercedes coming across the line next of Josh. Can he set it on to provisional pole for the first time? The answer is going to be no for right now, but the McLaren of Hunted goes on to pole. Next up is Skither. Skither sets it third fastest. We have Leo Lund up next, approaching the line with the Ferrari as well, chasing of Gecko. Leo Lund goes pole, but by 8/10. Will anybody have anything to say about that? I think the next one would have been Speed, but he's going to start a lap. So in the process, we'll go to the Chiller, who's through the middle sector now.
Currently going through the hairpin, and now through into turn number 12. In regards to that, as he's just flying his way through, yeah, Leo Lund putting it into the 33s, and as you can see, that rain is just slowly going away. Quicker on that one, as he's flying up through that little incline hill. Now to 130R. 16.5 combined after Sector 2. This could be pretty dang good. I'm probably might see him maybe between Hunted and Redfire, possibly. Maybe slightly ahead of Hunted. See what these guys comes across the line now. Deploy used in the middle of that corner. And he is third fastest, right in between Hunted and Redfire. Right behind is Cookie, who just slotted himself in the 4th ahead of Redfire. Redfire on a cooldown lap. Speed's currently in the spoon corner. Gecko next up. He's coming across through the triangle.
Gecko saw a pole position in similar conditions as Zandvoort. Will he go to pole this time in the Ferrari? Second fastest. He is setting his sights on Leo Lund. There's another car crossing line in the background. That may have been Josh. I think Josh is starting a lap. But as you can see, the conditions starting to get better. It may be whoever's the last one across the line getting the best lap and saving the best for last. Speed goes up to 6th fastest. V-Carb have never had a pole position in RPL, but they are possibly looking for one tonight. I think their best start came back in a wet condition qualifying with Oxtez. Wonder what he's up to nowadays. Skiller as well for Haas, by the way, could get their best quali of previous times. They have a 4th place with Minico and Mali. One in dry conditions, one in wet conditions. But let's see. Cookie's down by 5/10. Speed is in the middle sector. Skither's up by a 10th. Josh is the one I think I'm going to focus on because he's on a lap and he is going to be on the limits. No doubt about it. Looking for a first pole position. We should get our pole position predictions in later on. We'll see what we can do with that. But Leo Lund on the pits. Red Fire in the pits. Josh right now into Spoon Curve.
Yeah, let's see what Josh is going to be capable of doing. His teammate, 34.3 is what he managed to do. Josh currently 1 second behind, but we know he'll be able to pull a faster lap out of it. There's Gecko ahead of him, and Josh is actually slower in Sector 2.
Wow.
He's off by 800. This is a bit
held up by
on
Gecko
the
here
unusual
too.
side.
He just got held up by Gecko, I think. Maybe a bit of dirty air right there. Will it affect his lap at all? Maybe, but he only improves just. Skither up to 7th. Not much progress from the Haas and the Mercedes. The Chiller thinking of soft tires. That would be a very big gamble to go with late in the session, but you gotta have the track dry enough to go for it, though. That's gonna be the big issue for some of these guys. Maybe thinking of dry tires here.
Yeah, with only 4 minutes left to go, you really don't know, because literally, when the rain stops, you don't know if the track is gonna dry out like straight away, or if it'll take like a long period of time for it to dry out. What track was it I could think of? Might take. Let's see. Probably would take Austria in Tier 2 one season. The track cleared out from the rain, but it took almost 10 minutes for DRS to become enabled. Well, in some cases, the track would dry out, and it would, and DRS would be enabled like 30 seconds later.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. The Chiller is actually out on track on the soft tires. Does he think it's going to stop raining by the end of Q3 by chance? Because it's still raining on the track right now. Well, we'll see what happens, though. Yeah, any predictions here, Titan, as Josh, I believe, comes to complete his lap for the rest of qualifying?
Well, let's see. It's about 2 minutes 40, 2:50 to go as he's coming into the pits now. So it'll be right around 2 minutes 30. So I think he might make it with like maybe under 20 seconds ago, but it is so tight to figure it out. But I'm not really sure. And I'm checking out with the Chiller. He is just all over the place on those tires. I don't think the soft tires is the way to go.
Well, as some would say, this is a Reese-Dainty type of strategy, trying something as bold as that. I just don't think it's going to work, though. Gecko is thinking of it, but it's still raining. Is the track drying? It is, but it's not drying enough to go to soft tires. I get it's close to the lap time that you'd want with dry tires, but the Chiller is going back to the pits, and I think this is it from him. I think he's done. I really feel for him, though, because this is a chance to prove himself. Doing something silly like that, you don't really have a chance to prove yourself now. In a way, you'll have to do it for the race, but he's going to drop surely at least maybe 1 or 2 places, depending on what happens in the last laps. But as you know, Titan, it's very possible for these guys to bin it on their last laps like they have a lot so far this season. Nobody on a lap just yet. My pole prediction will be Leo Lund.
Oh yeah, no doubt in my mind. But for what the pole time would be, I mean, these guys
I can't guess that.
faster and faster. No doubt about that. If I had to just play it safe, I would say we're probably looking at a low to mid 32s. I think that's what we'll see out of these guys.
mean, I don't think Leo Lund will get it by quite a big margin, but he has to have a really good lap if he's gonna get it by quite a big margin. Red Fire Tiger, also another one, choosing to come out on the soft tires. You can see it getting a bit more, well, sunnier in a way. I'll say that. You can see some dry patches in the clouds, but it's not enough for those soft red tires. Hunted. Let's see what he can do in the McLaren. He was looking for a win here, I would say, back in Tier 2 the last time he raced at the circuit. And right now, it's a pole position up for grabs, but he goes off, and that's going to be it for him. He will not have a chance to continue on and do anything at all for pole position. Now I think he's just sliding it. Maybe going to get out of the way, maybe going to do what he did at China and crash intentionally. You don't want to get yourself a qualifying ban like Cookie got that same exact weekend. Yellow flags in the final sector. I think Hudson might just figure out here a way back to the pit lane and just making sure he's getting out of the way. Cookie in the first sector is up by 5/10, and just like last season in qualifying, he might get in a magical lap, and it might be the one worth it for pole position here. Will all these guys in the final sector make the checker flag? Speed did. Skither did. Red Fire, it's a bit of a question mark. Joe slides.
Nope.
He will not make it. Red Fire, checkered flag for him. Everybody else got to the line. We had to focus on that and take our attention away from Cookie for a moment. But almighty, that was so tight between those drivers getting to the checkered flag. Red Fire will only be a best of 8th and a lost cause being on those soft tires. Cookie now coming to the sector split.
Yeah, as I was going back to get back onto with Cookie, Leo Lund all 10.5 up in Sector 1. But Cookie nearly
But it's going to need to be more. You're going to have to see more from these drivers if they want to end up doing better. Cookie right now is bound to improve, but the question is by how much? The last one across the line will get the best lap. Cookie goes up to 2nd. Cookie having his best qualifying since really Bahrain when he got pole position. We've not seen really much front rows from him. Leo Lund, 4/10 up.
Don't you want to see a 32 coming?
Well, let's see if it happens. Leo Lund across the line now. What will it be for the Swedish driver going for a 3rd consecutive pole? It is a 3rd consecutive pole. Leo Lund does it once again. Next across the line will be the V-Carb. That is speed. He's up by 4/10 on the chart. Will it be any more though later on? Gecko is still up. You have Hunted who crossed the line. He had invalidated earlier on and spun, so he's irrelevant in this race for pole position. Gecko's lagged out on his lap, while Speed slots in just behind him. Others coming as well. Skither goes 4th fastest, and also Josh at the last moment stealing 4th from Skither there looked like. But it is Leo Lund for a 3rd consecutive week, doing it when it mattered most and going to pole position by a 7/10 gap. Impressive stuff from Leo Lund there, as 6 different teams make up the top 6.
You know, with Gecko lagging out, that means, well, guess what? This ain't gonna be good for him, because that means he is not gonna be able to put in a strategy available. So that means whatever the preset fuel amount is gonna be, probably like over 3 laps of extra fuel, Gecko's gonna be stuck then, sadly.
Well, we'll find out what happens. Here's your top 10 on our screen. JNT Gaming didn't get a lap in there. Red Fire at the end there. You know what happened to him. He missed the line. Hunter made a mistake down in 7th. To Chiller made the wrong call down in 8th. We'll see what happens for these guys for the race, but a crazy qualifying session for sure in Japan. As for the race, we'll see what happens with strategy. I think it's going to be soft hard, medium hard here for these guys. I don't know about soft medium. I really doubt that. But dry race, as mentioned. And, yeah, you're right. Gecko will not have a chance to put in any strategy at all. With that being said, that's exactly what happened to Reece Dainty last week. And also what happened to Reece Dainty as well was a retirement from the race. He ended up not being able to load in the session. Just a reminder, Leo Lund leads the championship by 26 points. McLaren lead the constructors. We'll go over that during the race a bit, but 10 seconds until the lights out. What do we expect down to turn 1?
Probably people scrambling for positions, getting things all together, just figuring out what needs to get done, and all that fun times.
The 5 red lights are coming on for round 4 of the season, the earliest Japan has ever been on the RPL F1 calendar. It's go time! We're away! Leo Lund, decent start, spinning already. There's damage. The Mercedes got tagged. That was the first Mercedes to Josh. The Chiller taking advantage, but Gecko and Skither are side by side. Skither's up to 3rd, taking over Gecko's AI car after he is not in the session and trying to join back. Lots of double file action here, all the way in the S section. Leo Lund, Cookie, Skither the top 3. Speed back there, but J&T gets Gecko. Reese trying to claw his way back up to the field. Red Fire lost some places, and Jack Miles trying to gain some spots after a horrid qualifying.
And I just checked the driver at Gecko, power failure at his house. So that is why he's not going
Red
back
Fire!
yet. That is not good there.
Collision as well!
Ooh,
J&T and Josh, front wing being broken from one of the cars. That was one of the front wings from one of the drivers in the top 10 flying up into the air, but J&T and John battle it out. John's up there with Reese. Red Fire's up there with Piper. Will he avoid the lap 1 trouble into sector 3? No. J&T gets punted wide, and he's going off, and he's got damage to his car. He might have been the one to get damage, maybe not just once, but twice. Both Ferraris with an absolute nightmare, down to 18th and 19th, as our race leaders are within DRS of each other. Cookie in pursuit of Leo.
And I'm just taking a look at the cars as you confirmed that J&T does have damage to that wing, but also
TB's
Josh
around.
too, missing wing.
TB has hit trouble. He spun out at the Casio Triangle. Unfortunate to his race, while John is getting pressure from Reese Dainty.
Yeah, John actually overtook for the 8th place spot, exiting out of the triangle, but J&T is the pits. This is just a nightmare for Ferrari and J&T. Lap 1 is done. Our first retirement already.
And that is so unfortunate. Gecko, his teammate, joins back the session. Speed in proximity of Skither, who just had a slide off of turn 10 right there. The second Degna. Speed locking up the brakes, trying to avoid hitting the back of Skither. You have the Chiller, who's gained 3 spots. 7 spots now for Jack as he takes another one on. That's Reese Dainty right there. John up 3. Down 14 from Gecko. And that is a nightmare scenario for Ferrari and their whole academy, which might not even be scoring points with the whole Skither situation because he's not even supposed to be in that car.
It just all depends on what is going to be decided there. We'll probably have more info with it later on if we have any new information at this time. And yeah, Gecko disconnected again. So Ferrari not doing too great at all. I mean, literally, Skither at this moment, well, I mean, under scrutiny at the moment, Ferrari is looking at no points. As all of their cars are in the back, and it gets worse. Tempo is spun at Casio.
Battle into turn 1. Speed excelling. He makes the overtake on Skither for 3rd place in this race. To Chiller as well, trying to get back up to the podium again in RPL. He had one last season in China. Now he's going to have to get it over Skither, an ex-teammate of his. Hunted lurking in the background. We have so much action, and it's only lap 3, and Cookie has got himself in DRS of Leo. We've got a race on for a race lead. Tadpole, though, unfortunate at the back of the field there, down in 18th. Let's see what happens.
All the way down
Robin,
19th.
what's happened there? He got overtaken by TB. Sorry, I thought he went off. Excuse me. Good.
You're good. I just got that as well. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Ferrari just having not so great time at all. But that's it. But the Chiller, by the way, just hanging on, just sticking with Skither at this moment. Meanwhile, towards the front, Leo Lund just about trying to get Cookie out of DRS range. And that's something that Cookie does not want. He wants to stay with Leo Lund, but Leo Lund is just running off with it. Speed, by the way, very nice work with him getting himself into 3rd place. I believe this is gonna, if it stays as it is, Speed's looking for a 2nd podium this season because he didn't do it earlier in the season.
Well, a podium for McLaren, a podium for VCarb. Already, maybe a 2nd one. Cookie and DRS, but he just dropped out of it on the straight due to ERS right there, which he's trying so desperately to use to get within striking distance of Leo. John overtakes Josh on the straight, down into turn 1. We now look at everybody's tires that they've chose from the start of this race. Josh making another mistake. That's allowed Jack to go through, and I surely have to be wondering, did he have any damage there when he got spun on the main straight? He was the one getting tagged from the rear tire, and it hit another car. You could just see how much Josh is losing touch with the drivers in front.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you're mentioning it, yeah, the tires are just, I mean, it's predominantly mediums for everyone, but yeah, John, the odd one out with it. Whoa, you almost lost it at the exit of the hairpin. That's going to allow Jack to potentially take advantage, say, oh, I see you made a mistake. I will take advantage of it. But John, just keeping it in control at this moment. John, Tier 2 McLaren driver. At the moment for the time being, because of Hunted moving to McLaren Tier 1, John is without a teammate for the time being, but Jack is just all over, just sniffing that exhaust pipe of John there, trying to open up an opportunity to go into 7th place.
Cookie is closer to Leo Lund. Will there be any moves later on? Definitely not at turn 1. Robin, the first one to pick up a penalty, the driver on debut this weekend, while Jack does finally get past John right there for position. Lewis Piper at the back of this train with Red Fire, just outside the points. Red Fire on hards, John on softs, most of the rest of the field on mediums. No surprise there, but definitely a race for the podium, definitely a race for the lead for sure.
I mean, well, just a little bit towards the front, I just saw Haunted getting much closer to the Chiller and Skidler, but the Chiller really all over back of Skidler to try to unsettle him into making a mistake. I mean, for a couple of rounds earlier in the season, Skidler and the Chiller were Academy teammates. Skidler and Ferrari, the Chiller in the Sauber. But as mentioned earlier today, the Chiller moving from Ferrari Academy to Mercedes Academy, racing in the Mercedes, replacing Cam. I mean, as we were mentioning earlier in the stream, that was the Silly JT's part. Yeah, I just saw that. Well, look a little bit further back. Right around the 11th place spot, Red Fire got very close and was looking to sneak an opportunity to overtake Lewis Piper for the 11th place spot.
Yeah, he was doing that after Lewis Piper had overtook him right there, and Reese Dainty and Josh right now duking it out for 9th place. Josh for rear wing damage maybe from the incident. Red Fire getting nosy at turn 1. All out of shape, and now inside of one another just for a moment right there. If you rode on board Red Fire, that was unfortunate right there by the pair of them. But Lewis Piper into the points for Sauber last week right there. In the points, by the way. I think that was a bit of lag right in front from the Aston. I was just gonna say, whoa, in the points last week, the Chiller won. Fair play, Red Fire. Fair play right there, going on the inside. I was just going to say, the Chiller was originally in the points until post-race penalties last week in the Sauber, getting his first points of the season. Now he'll be looking for his actual first points of the season in the Mercedes. Lewis Piper and Red Fire, what a battle. That is great stuff right there. Same with the Fake TB and Wavy Knife, dueling it out for 12th place now. Fake TB?
Yeah, TB.
Which way is he going to go?
Trying to see where he
Which
can go.
way? Which way are we going to go? Left, right? Side to side? What's happening, TB? Are you going to get by Wavy here? Struggling behind the Williams. 1.1 for a race lead.
Yeah, but also with them battling it out, that's going to bring Wavy's teammate Samuel Drake Lee into the fray. Let's see what's going to happen here as TB goes down on the outside. Ooh, almost contact between the Williams pair and Speed. Something happened to him.
Yes. Overtaken on the main straight, not by one, but by 2 cars. The Chiller and Skither, and Josh has lagged out. Already repairing his front wing. Now, gonna have to figure out what happened to him there. Whoa, Samuel, big slide. Big power slide. Will it have Wavy go through? I thought Wavy would have gone through after that for a moment, but I thought the two teammates maybe would have gotten into a collision after that crazy, crazy stuff between Samuel Drake Lee having a slide, Wavy trying to figure out with him right there if he wanted to go by or not, if it was the right time. But the fake TB loving it. He has got by both them right there. Very crucial for his race to try and get to the points, but it's not been the season TB would have wanted for sure so far in that V-carb. Josh is back. Good to see. Now the question will be from Josh's point of view, Titan. Will he be able to take control now? Will be the big concern for him as the leaderboard does fix itself as he joins. 1.4 the gap between Leo and Cookie.
He is back in it.
Cookie. Yeah. Cookie 1.4. Don't think he's in DRS, but he's got no ERS to play with. Leo barely any either.
And I guess the game is lying to Gecko, because when Gecko rejoined and then left again, it was because when he joined back, it hit on his POV.
Whoa!
The game retired him from the event.
Move for third now. Skither, collision. He somehow is still straight, and I don't even know how. But John was getting overtaken. He is boxed. He's blinked first from that group that he was in. But Skither, class driving there. I don't know how. It was contact with the chiller there.
I'm not sure how that happened there, but yeah, Josh did come back and was about to take control of his car again, but got booted out again. So we got two drivers. We got two drivers now, just having problems not being able to stay in it. And I'm wondering if Josh got the same thing as Gecko.
I'm definitely wondering, with that being said, how these guys can take advantage. Look at Lewis Piper in the points, double Aston Martin points, a V-carb in the points, a Haas up in 6th right there. What will happen later on in this race when everything gets decided? 2.1 the gap for the race lead. DRS on play for 3rd place as well. Meanwhile, as I was just saying that, Titan, look at the cars outside the points. You got 2 Ferraris, and you got a Mercedes. Big drama for this race later on when things get settled out. The chiller trying to hang on over speed now.
The chiller trying to hang around on his own. I mean, speed was really asking for a shot, and there he's going down the inside, made it easy to get past the chiller into 3rd place. I mean, Speed is trying to prove himself, saying, I can hang in the big cars. I can prove myself in DB if anything happens. And he ends up in a 3rd. Meanwhile, a bit further back, seeing on the thing, TB overtook Lewis Piper to get into 10th place. And the Williams pair switches back with Samuel Drake taking 12th place from Wavy.
Red Fire also got a place on Reese Dainty. Red Fire and Jack, I know it wasn't what they would have wanted. They definitely would have wanted a bit more than what they got, but they're doing really good with what they got. Red Fire up 1 place after a poor start. He always seems to have those here in RPL, if I'm being honest with you. And Jack up 9 places. I almost said 9 starts, but for Jack, it might have felt like 9 starts for him with the amount of places he gained right there. It's quite amazing that Jack was able to get up that many places after starting that far back. It's definitely a recovery drive for Jack. Gecko has been overtaken now by John, and Josh's car has retired on the track after he has lagged out. A Mercedes and technically both Ferraris out of this race.
Yeah, that's not good there. I mean, Josh is probably not happy at all about what was going on with him. I mean, to be fair, I will say I feel bad for Josh, because he was doing pretty good up until that flag out happened.
There we go.
And that was just a mess there. And yeah, Hunted getting the chiller and Skither, the tail that wags the dog, following right behind him. And Reese, by the way, is the first of the medium tire guys to come in.
I'm a bit confused with what the chiller did there on the main straight. He dipped wheels into the grass, 2 of them. Yeah, it's not going to gain you pace ever since post-patch, but maybe just letting Skither and Hunted take the pieces while you can and let the 2 guys fight it out in front to get to speed, whatever it may be. I don't blame him if that was the idea he had there, but dipping a wheel into the grass in the process was a bit unusual, I'll say, for good measure. But right now, 3.1 is the gap between the race leaders. You mentioned Reese pitting early. he going to try a bold strategy to get some more points now? He's only had 1 point in his last 4 races that he's done in RPL F1. It's not been the time he would have wanted, but Reese, something to mention about him. Not even top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. Red Bull, they're 4th in the Constructors' Championship. Definitely need a good day for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, Reese not really, as mentioned earlier, not having the greatest off-season start, to be fair. And it looks like Cookie has opted to pit as well. Cookie is in
Undercut.
now. Yeah, for the undercut on Leo Lund, that's for sure. And looks like what are we gonna see right now? At the moment, McLaren 1-2 as Hunted goes down the inside, clears Speed up in the 2nd place, but no other movement after that. Skidder and Chiller were a bit too far behind to warrant an attack here, and Cookie is going to come out of the pits as Robin gets himself into the penalty for speeding in the pits. Cookie will come out in 10th place, right ahead of Samuel Drake.
Reese Dainty and John have a battle brewing between them in the coming moments. John closing up to where Reese is at after pitting 2 laps prior, expecting to go the whole race on hards at this point after he pitted. Hunted having a bit of a moment there at the hairpin. It looks like he's got some company now from Speed as he's been able to close up there. 9.3 between the 2 teammates at McLaren. Interesting though with Hunted taking this full-time seat. What maybe Miniko sneaking. Miniko felt a little bit demoralized, I would say, in the way of not being able to keep pace with Leo. It really sucked for Miniko. He had said getting a driver who's esports caliber alongside him, and well, it really does hurt your confidence. I don't know what it's doing for Hunted's confidence though, as he's moved up to tier 1, 9.6 now behind the teammate as we're about to enter lap 12. Cookie, I'm gonna guess, doing what some guys did last week in Australia, trying to pay big dividends by going for an early pit stop. We'll see if that works out. But right now, 2nd place up for grabs. Hunted, he's pitting. And it's not really going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle to get it into the pit lane. And Skidder speeds, adds more issue to his race already that he already had. Hard tires going on. Red fire through on Jack. 2 teammates swapping.
Yeah, just caught that as well. But yeah, that's a slap. That's a bit of a smack in the face to Skidder right there. And meanwhile, Cookie clearing Lewis Piper to get into 6th place at the moment. Let's see where everyone else files out. As the 3 come out, Hunted in 10th, Skidder 11th, and the Chiller in 12th, right ahead of Tadpole. Meanwhile, like a little bit further back, John was a little close, but couldn't get close enough. We have a VSC.
Oh, someone's had an off. Where is that?
Robin's lost his entire wing.
He's going into the pits. He's boxing, but this could be a free pit stop for Leo Lund and change the outcome completely for Cookie, who is looking to do a big undercut. Also, big win for Speed if he's able to pit here.
Yeah, it just all depends on how long this VSC will last, though. That is the crucial part. What will happen here as Leo Lund coming into the pits? Let's see what happens with the VSC.
And soon, that's going to be the big question. We've seen VSCs screw over drivers in the past. We'll see if it does anything now. Speed on the track in the pits now. Jack Miles and Red Fire. They stay out right now. Leo Lund exiting the pits.
Jack's
and the VSC is over. Yep, Jack is in. Red Fire stays out. He will lead this race for a moment, but for how long will be the question. Cookie coming onto the main straight now. He should be ahead of Speed, but he'll definitely be miles behind Leo Lund. It's very unfortunate that the VSC did change a potential undercut from Leo Lund in comparison to Cookie. Well, Cookie in comparison to Leo Lund, I should say. Racing down the main straight, Speed ahead of Samuel Drake Lee. No movement there. No one going to affect the outcome there in that area. Jack Miles behind Tadpole, who has not pitted, but probably closer, I would say, to DeChiller, Skidder, and Hunted, who have already pitted. Interestingly enough, though, the fake TB ahead of Cookie right now as things stand with a pit stop still to be made.
Yeah, just taking a look at the graphic at the moment, if you discount the AI of Gecko as Jack clears Tadpole to get himself into the 11th place spot. DeChiller into the penalty box with track limits. That is
Well,
I believe he is the first. Nope, he's the second person to do that because Robin was the first one to do it. But Tadpole, Samuel Drake, Lewis Piper, TB, and Red Fire have yet to stop in this race.
and I think Red Fire maybe would have benefited from the VSC if it was out a bit longer. Leo Lund did benefit, but he didn't benefit as much. Red Fire staying out, racing Leo Lund on the main straight. When does Red Fire pit? Does Leo Lund overtake? Which way does he go? He goes the long way, and Leo Lund is through into the lead of this race once again. Red Fire could not put up a contest, but he definitely wanted to try to do it again. Cookie through on the fake TB. The fake TB letting him pass as he's yet to pit. Hunted on the main straight, also another move to be made. Hunted intercepting this place. Samuel Drake Lee also letting Skither pass as well. Reese Dainty and Tadpole, two former rivals in F2. Reese Dainty through and ahead.
Wow. Yeah, what a fight there between Reese and Tadpole and also Red Fire and Leo. Red Fire was looking to play a bit on the sneaky side to try to see if he could try to sneak in a shot, but just couldn't do that. I mean, and then TB moving over, letting Cookie through, and by the way, in a hairpin, Speed clears Lewis Piper to get into 5th place. So Speed, this is paying dividends for him. But yeah, with Cookie getting the pass on TB. He still has yet to pick. He knows it's not his fight. He just wants to get some decent points. We'll see what happens. It's John, by the way, in the spoon with Tadpole.
There was slight contact. John went off. Tadpole maybe stuck it in there still, but maybe he shouldn't have. We'll have to see what happens later on if that gets put onto the steward's hands. John, remember, he's pitted. Tadpole has not. Tadpole fighting this very aggressively, to say the least, and now pinching John into the pit lane. Samuel Drake Lee, he is pitted for the first time. Hunted now, trying to get past Lewis Piper. He makes that quick work there with the Sauber driver in Tier 2 full time. John, speaking of Tier 2 full time, overtakes Tadpole, who is yet to pit in this race. I'm sure he would have been frustrated staying behind him, but for John's case, at least he has other drivers in front who have yet to pit.
Absolutely. I mean, literally, you have guys like TB, Red Fire, and Lewis Piper yet to pit. I mean, Skither passing Lewis Piper on the outside of the Dunlop curve to get himself into 7th. Well, bear in mind, Skither does have that 10-second penalty, though, and he is under scrutiny for the car that he is in. We're still waiting on word from the steward in regards to that, but once we have new info on that, we will pass it along to you later in the stream.
Reese Dainty, you spoke about info. Maybe he got some info on what the rear lock was for or why that was happening there into the hairpin. That's the second time I've seen him do it, but he did it in the race this time compared to qualifying. He has lost DRS to Jack because of it, and he's boosting now to try and get back in it. Red Fire is in. Jack, though, he was boosting as well to try and stay ahead and not have Reese Dainty claw back up into DRS. We'll figure out what happens there with Reese Dainty talking about that miraculous save later on. Lewis Piper in as well. The fake TB in as well. The Chiller gets him for that place. Red Fire onto the medium tires. The fake TB onto the medium tires. Everything is cycled out. The top 3 is Leo Lund, Cookie, Speed, and Hunted down in 4th. Hunted looking for a first Tier 1 podium. Never has happened for him. I'm surprised to say that one.
Yeah, that is quite surprising, not gonna lie. And you were mentioning earlier about F2 with Hunted trying to hunt for a win or a podium in first 14 seasons. As everyone did come out of the pits from their stops. Red Fire filed out in 9th place, TB down in 12th, and Lewis Piper down in 13th.
Well, I think Red Fire is looking to shape up a move. You're good. I was just going to say, Red Fire looking to shape up a move on Reese Dainty. The question is, when will it happen? These two have clashed in the past. Remember USA? Well, that was Reese's last DNF back in Season 8 prior to Australia, last week in the race where he didn't really even get to take control of it. That was out of Reese's control. But it was still a DNF in the way, though, for Dainty. And Red Fire, He was the one who collided in
Oh!
that Texas race. John into the penalty box. That's inside the points. Look for that to come into effect later on. Tadpole yet to pit. TB trying to get past. Will he do so into 130R? We've not seen many 130R moves so far this race. TB, give us some action. Come on. No, he's not going to do it. He's going to wait for it. Red Fire, though, waiting to make a move on the main straight. TB doing this around the outside of Tadpole now. And he is ahead on Tadpole. TB is. Red Fire ahead on Reese. That was an easy DRS move. And DeChiller ahead of the ex-teammate, hoping to pull a gap with the penalty.
Absolutely. And like I said, with Skither, because he still has a 10-second penalty to deal with. Taking a look at the gap here. With John's penalty factored in, Skither will fall to 9th place at this present moment with that 10-second penalty that he has. Meanwhile, John is looking to be out of the points because TB is within 3 seconds. He's 2.6 right behind him. Meanwhile, Fire catching up to his teammate Jack. I'm thinking honestly, with Red Fire being on the faster tires, I think if I was in the mindset of Jack, I would help his teammate Red Fire get that slipstream right to the DRS detection point, then let Red Fire through, so Red Fire will have some DRS available in fresh, clean air.
Yeah, after Red Fire started up there and had a poor start, he looked to be the first Aston Martin in this race to take control and get the most points for the team. But right now, it's Jack Miles in pursuit of doing just that. Red Fire on the better, fresher tires now, and he can pass Jack Miles and do so himself. Skither on the main straight gets ahead of the Chiller there, as he used a bit of battery to do just that. Red Fire also on medium tires, as we mentioned just a moment ago, ahead of Jack Miles. And Lewis Piper has Samuel Drake Lee for company down in 12th now. He's having a quiet race, I would have to say.
Triangle and right behind, and a little bit behind Samuel Drake Lee is Wavy Knife, but not close enough for the challenge. But here comes Samuel Drake Lee on the inside at turn number 1. He is through and up into 12th place. But meanwhile, courtesy of that VSC right now, Leo Lund almost 10 seconds clear of Cookie at this present moment. That VSC really paid dividends for him.
Well, I'm going to have to probably look at one of the largest Japan gaps for victory, because I know last season was around similar to 10 seconds, I want to say. If it wasn't 10, it was going to be 10 if it wasn't for the safety car, I believe, because Cookie was in his own world that race. That's how it was after, really, Reese Dainty had backed off from challenging him. I mean, it would be great. You got Samuel Drake Lee and Lewis Piper. You got TB and John, Red Fire and Jack, and our closest battle now, the Chiller and Skither. And Haunted is now into the penalty box. So that's going to be very treacherous later on when he battles with others. Skither has an issue. Skither is stuck in 3rd gear. Is this a wheel issue from Skither? He is going on the gas, off the gas, wiggling, figuring out what's happening to his car, and this is a chance at points over. What has happened to the American driver, the 2-time champion here, to pull off like this out of nowhere?
What in the heck happened?
He definitely
he had some problem.
Is having a wheel issue, I think, from what I could tell. He couldn't put it in pause in time, and he has hit trouble, and I think that's also Robin around again. He is facing the wrong way, and Skither's out. That's a virtual safety car.
He just had he couldn't turn. But that's another VSC. What the heck happened? Wait, no,
wow.
It's a safety car.
It's a full safety car
now.
now.
Safety car's out.
Wow, this is going to change this race a ton. Oh my goodness. Upgraded to a full safety car. You don't see it on the screen just yet, folks, but you can see it on the side of the screen right there on the board as we run aboard Cookie. Full safety car deployed. Who pits, who doesn't? Leo Lund is in, and he just gets it in within the mile per hour he needs to. Wow. This race flipped upside down. We're talking about gaps. 5 seconds for the win last season, 4 seconds for the win the prior season in an all-PC podium at the time. And then Season 8 was close for the victory. Season 7, 1.5. Yeah, we've really not had many dominant Japan races in the past from drivers, to say the least. Wow.
But now with the safety car, this is going to change up everything.
Yes, it will. As they say, this changes everything, and that's exactly what this does. Soft tires for most, hunted on the mediums. Leo Lund has been messed up here. He tried to pit for mediums, and it put him on his used set. This might just flip this race upside down. Oh my word. Most people going to either the soft tires with the small variety going to the mediums, but Leo Lund is on 12 lap mediums after the game put him on his used set. He didn't have any new tires left. He tried to go for mediums. It didn't work. Wavy stays out.
This is not good at all. This is gonna hurt him.
Well, it's good for
I'm
us.
not gonna lie.
Good for us, Titan. We like watching this kind of drama unfold in a good way, but it changes the outcome of the race for sure. Skither said, warning, controller disconnected in terms of what his game showed for him. Leo Lund not happy about the game putting him on old mediums. It does say virtual safety car, but it is a full safety car, just to clear everything up. It has not updated itself, but it is a full course safety car.
This just I'm not gonna lie, but now Leo is not happy at all because he's stuck on those old tires, so he knows he's gonna have to go. He's gonna have to go in and get off of those tires. But that is gonna blow That's gonna blow this race wide open.
With the pit loss here, and with how much John and TB are catching up, he's going to be outside the points. He's going to have to do a charge to the field. And if we've already seen things happen today with charges to the field, expect Leo Lund to get back up to first quite easily. But the problem is, he doesn't have much laps to do so. He needs to do a lot of overtaking. Will he pit for it? Well, of course, he has to. He's on old tires, and he just cannot speed here as well. That'll be the worst thing possible. He does not. Cookie into the race lead. AMS Speed is into second place. And you know what? Wavy Knife pits, but he got a 10-second time penalty for it. And AMS Speed is in second place right now. V-Carb having a chance to win their first race since John Evans, also known as HX4K, yes, the esports driver who races for Aston Martin, not going to be doing so next year. That'll be leaked at some point. He is second right now, Speed is, and looking to do what HX4K did once, win the race for this team. Will he actually go and challenge his team principal for the race victory? Well, I just want to say, championship standing reminder before the safety car does come in at some point, as we've got some drivers switching places under the safety car. That's not allowed. Leo Lund leads the championship over Egg by 26 points. Gecko also had trouble this race. He's in third in the championship. Cookie and Speed round out the top 5, but it's McLaren who lead Ferrari, Aston, Red Bull, and Mercedes. But V-Carb will definitely be scoring quite big in comparison to Mercedes in the constructors fight. That's for sure. TB's in the points, Speed is in the points, only the Chiller in the points for Mercedes. Our race for the podium has definitely flipped upside down. Red Fire trying to do so for the first time since Brazil season 8. Right now he's in position to do just that on the freshest medium tires. I say freshest because Hunted does have a penalty in front of him. It's not really fresh with Red Fire having the biggest opportunity of them all, if you think about it. Safety car could be coming in. We'll see if it does. Might be an extra lap here. You're just waiting on Robin to catch up. Cookie leads this race. Speed, then Hunted. Let's give you the time to remind you of the races next week, folks. We have Tier 3 in Hungary, Tier 2 in Spa, F2 in Saudi Arabia, and F1 next week will be in Miami. Right now, Leo Lund, Titan, he's looking for a touchdown-like move to get him up to the front of the field in order to win this race once again. Lap 22 under the safety car, not the VSC. I will have to be right back. I'll let you take over to talk about a few things before this restart.
Yeah, so just cashing in. We are on for just cashing in. We are here at Suzuka. Leo Lund was pole position, down in 10th after a mistake in the pit lane. He was Game said they were gonna give him new medium tires, but gave him the old mediums that he used at the start. Cookie is your leader. Speed in second. On track, Hunted in third. But with that penalty, that will bring Red Fire up to the podium at this moment. We are on lap 22 and 27. We're under a safety car after Skither had a wheel problem. Wheel failure, wheel malfunction, everything went wrong, and he is out and dusted. This is our second safety car-like thing in this race. Our first one was a VSC right in the middle of the race when Robin crashed into the Casio Triangle and lost the wing, hence that VSC. That was early in the race. We're under a safety car now. Once these guys cross the line, 5 laps to go. And I believe the VSC car will be coming in this time. We'll see what will happen between the V car of Speed and the Red Bull Cookie. Speed really wants to prove himself that he can be in the top 3 for sure. And Cookie,
yes, he does.
Really trying to solidify and get another win and give a big middle finger to Leo Lund for winning all the time.
Yep, 5 consecutive wins from Cookie before in the past, 4 consecutive at one point as well. Only 6 times as a driver went 4 more in a row, but Leo Lund is going to have to do something very magical here to do just that. Late race safety car, restart coming underway in just a moment. Leon Miner is probably ready to see the chaos not ensued by him this time. Back to the green flag we go. Back on the gas. Cookie, big jump as Speed is off. You were right about that. Big moment for the man's second place in this race. Red Fire and Jack onto the net podium. But now it's all trading. Here we go. Leo down the inside and through. Oh my goodness. 10 seconds for guys ignoring the yellow flags. Multiple 10 seconds because the safety car apparently is still shown on the screen from the game. That is a major glitch. Those 10 seconds will most likely be appealed. They won't need a race director for that one. But Leo Lund is on the move. What place will it be? 7th maybe now? Jack on Red Fire gets 4th place. Leo Lund needs to make the most of this now to get up there. This is high drama to end this race. The Chiller going for 2nd place. Leo Lund going down the inside of TB. It is all kicking off late in this race as John has been tapped from Speed, who's trying to claw his way back up through the field.
What was the 10-second penalties that happened between those guys? It was because of Speed not getting onto the power.
Oh.
The gate, even though he went off the track and they passed him while he was on track, the game was like, you passed illegally, get the position back. So, I mean, to be fair, despite that, they will get that removed because that was Speed.
Here we go.
Full. Ooh, baby, down here.
Big send from Leo on Reese Dainty. Much happening there. Big move for this race. Cookie sets the fastest lap, but Jack Miles, who's technically in a net P2 position right now, trying to get up there and get this on track. Red Fire in pursuit of the podium as well. He's got Leo Lund lurking in the background, and almighty Red Fire would love to keep this place.
That's what it's looking like at this moment, because once those penalties come off, Jack looking at P2, Red Fire looking at P3, and Leo Lund, currently with the track limit penalties involved, is looking at P5. Tadpole has crashed where Skither is, and a safety car again.
Oh my goodness. If this race did not already have drama once, it's got it twice. And Cookie will have one more restart to try and deny the Chiller, Hunted, and the rest of the Hungry Pack behind the victory. Faded Knight's asking, what is this race? I'm wondering the same. We saw 2 safety cars in this race. Wow.
What a wild state of events there. But yeah, another safety car. This is gonna be wild to say the least, but this is what we got here. But this is gonna get wild here. I mean, the safety car is probably gonna be only out for 1 lap, and we're gonna get 2 laps here.
nobody pitting, it looks like. Why would you pit anyway if you're at the front of this field? You have the track position. That's more important. And you're not really going to have a chance here to catch up to the pack if you pit. We'll see if anybody does, just in case, though. Nobody pitting. Good to know. Cookie trying to catch up to the safety car. He leads this race, but there will be a 2-lap shootout here for the event to end off. What a race this has been. Just a reminder, if you're just joining us, those 10-second time penalties you see on the side of our screens, they got them for incidents under the safety car restart. This was because of overtaking onto the yellow flags. You'll see it from guys like Red Fire, Jack, Reese, and TB who got them. But if you see someone like Wavy who had a 10-second, though, that was first being in the pit lane. That's why it's hard to tell, but we have got the evidence on stream there now of those guys getting 10 seconds for what you said, Titan, ignoring the yellow flag. Speed had a traction issue there where he tried to get on the power, spun it, cost himself there, and right now, if everything gets shuffled out the way it is, we're looking at a podium, maybe based on how this restart goes, of Cookie, Jack, and Red Fire.
A double Aston Martin podium. And honestly, I think even with them, I mean, under their variants, Aston Martin, Racing Point, and Force India, or whatever it was called, I don't even remember the last time Aston got a double podium in Tier 1. Here we go.
I had to change controller batteries very quickly, Titan. I'm sorry about that. Safety car in this lap. It would be back in the Racing Point days when they did that, I believe. But here we go. You're right. Safety car is in this lap. Will anybody make the mistake that Speed did last time? That's something they cannot have happen at all. Here we go. One final dance to the finish here in Japan. Cookie won this race last season, but he has not had a podium in 4 races. Back to the greens we go. And here we go. 2 laps to go. The Chiller trying to hunt down Cookie. Hunted trying to do the same. Will he go for it, though, the race lead? Down the inside, almost clipping the side of Cookie. That could have been massive for this race if the Chiller and Cookie collided right there. But the Chiller has to go, and he's trying to do just that to end up pulling a 3-second gap for what might be the podium.
Let's take a look at the gap right now. 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, chaos has to ensue. You see safety car on the side of our screen. That will be updated in just a moment in time. Green flags are back in the air, but Leo Lund is trying to get back up the field. This is for the net podium right now. Will he be able to do it? Side by side with Red Fire Tiger around the long way. Red Fire almost shoves him off the track, and there's contact. Leo Lund and Red Fire both touch, but Leo Lund trying to go ahead, and he is ahead. But Red Fire will not give this up. Down the inside, he's fighting aggressively to get back on the Tier 1 podium. Oh, still touching. Major touching right there out of Spoon Curve, and Red Fire somehow holds on.
Yeah, but Leo Lund is not done. This time he's going on the inside. Well, there we go. Oh boy, it's gonna get bad. It's gonna get nasty. Oh baby.
Oh, they touch again, but Red Fire trying to send it back up the inside, and Leo Lund went very late there. But will it be enough to get second place over Jack Miles? 1 lap to go, and the Chiller wants a win on track. Here he goes to the lead. The Chiller has not won an RPL race on track or through the penalties since Imola, his home race. Now Leo gets Red Fire while TB gets Reese. Drama to end this race, no doubt about it.
Talk about wild and crazy racing here. To be fair, as Leo is back up into 5th place, he is looking at right now 3rd place at this present moment, but Cookie is looking at a win for the first time in season 11. This will be a big confidence booster for him, no doubt about it. But meanwhile, the Chiller currently between him and Leo Lund, 1.7 seconds. But Leo is now looking to try to see if he can try to do a last-ditch gasp to try to get Jack to go for that P2.
Cookie ran off track, trying to get to the Chiller to win this race on track. Lots of battling behind these guys, but for a race lead, we know it's going to be Cookie. He doesn't have to make this move, though. He's trying to make the move. Here he comes. Leo for second, technically, with everything removed later. The Chiller slides, goes off. Cookie has not had a podium in the last 3 races, but he'll end up being back on form as he wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Cookie ends up doing it. Leo Lund, I believe, did get the podium, but after that, it was an absolute kerfuffle. Lewis Piper, Samuel Drake Lee, John, they're in the points, but when Jack, Red Fire, TB, Reese, all those guys who got 10-second time penalties get theirs removed, we'll see what the results end up like. Wow, what a chaotic end to Japan with Cookie back on form. Winning once again. Looked like he was down and out of it, but he finds a way sometimes. Cookie has denied Leo Lund of winning 4 races in a row. Driver of the day the game gives to TB. We'll talk about that later. Cookie is victorious, claiming victory in Japan in yet another season, but it is also his 20th F1 win all time. The podium celebrations kick underway now. Cookie celebrates.
There.
Wow.
But yeah, what craziness there. But here we go. But the podium celebrations out and about. This is crazy. But
Jack on the podium, I think, as well, by the way, from what he is saying. Celebrations kicking underway. As you could see on the screen. Can't look at the final results from this stream, so you're going to have to screenshot it. Oh, no, we can see it now. So, Jack in Red Fire, were they ahead of Leo there? Oh, we're communicating with online services. Jack was behind Leo, and yeah, that would be it for the spots. I think our top 5 ended up being Cookie, Leo, then, I believe, Jack, Red Fire, and TB, I believe, a top 5 for VCarb. That is crazy stuff. After the start TB has had to the season, it's just been wild. 4 retirements from this race. Looked like a tame race at first, but once that first safety car came out, lots of drama happened. 10 seconds will get removed from those drivers, so that is why you see everything there on your screen. Cookie, Leo, Jack at the podium. And Leo Lund continues at least an 100% podium finishing rate.
yeah, that's the results there. And you know when we were talking about with the skipper, by the way, early.
Correct. You got permission from Luke Grange to answer this question.
Crashing out.
Yeah, he will be disqualified from what we're understanding.
Yep. I got
you asked Luke about that one.
Luke.
Yep. The man in charge. Well, that was something, to say the least. That race was chaotic. Well, yeah. I'm going to submit that clip for those guys of the 10 seconds. It has been put in. Well, Cookie, should we give him an interview? I think we should. We'll ask him if he wants one. But that was chaotic. Cookie maybe suggesting that Tadpole's incident may have been intentional. I'm wondering why that is. I know Tadpole crashed out late in the same area that Skither did, but that seems a bit odd to suggest that it was intentional. I don't know. I don't want to do that myself. I don't want to suggest anybody crashing is intentional unless it seems very obvious. Tadpole's... it did seem a little weird, but I don't know if it was intentional. I doubt it. But you never know. Where is Cookie's name? I cannot find Cookie's name. Where is Cookie's name? Why can I not find his name? I'm trying to invite him to the party. He wanted an interview. Why can I not find Cookie's name? Well, we'll try to find that. Can you try inviting Cookie Titan, to the party through Xbox?
If I can remember it, I think it was like something like Boss
XX Boss
Cookie or
Cookie.
something. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Our chat talking about the race. No Leo Lund win. W. Finally, someone else. World Defense Redfire. Yeah, I know Jack and Redfire have collided before in the past, but Jack Miles, if I was him, I would be blessing Redfire for that one for sure. No doubt about it. He is going to be thanking Redfire with all he's got later on. That was a great defense from Redfire. It may have been a little bit over the limit. I get it. But you're not a full-time Tier 1 driver anyway, and you're battling Leo Lund for Jack Miles to stay on the podium. Very impressive. That race was close. That race was insane in Evade. A lot of drivers talking about their race. Yeah, not Leo Lund, Cookie talking about having to do an interview through Discord instead of Xbox. We can do that. I'm going to make sure the game audio is not playing in the background for me. Therefore, we can hear Cookie quite well. We're going to drag him. We're going to figure out if we can drag him. It's going to make me drag all those guys. I think Cookie cannot be dragged from the Tier 1 VC. Cookie, go to Chaos.
I was just checking about with Leo, and the game screwed him over because when the first safety car came out, he put in the thing to go on to the new soft tires. That's where he wanted to go on, but the game was like, nah, we're putting you on 50% mediums instead.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. See, if it's not letting me drag Cookie. See, if I were to drag Cookie, it would bring all of them with me. That's the thing. Let me try. Do you want to go to Gaza Strip? What am I doing here? Trying to get Cookie into here, by the way. I'll go into Chaos with Cookie. We'll try that. I'll go there and see if he can join for a post-race interview.
Zakaria will be happy.
Netherlands won?
Well, they're currently 2 minutes in extra time, and it's 2-1 Netherlands.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. I've pinged Cookie for another notification about giving us an interview. Just a reminder, folks, our next few Tier 1 races, if you're wanting to tune into some crazy action like that, you have Miami next week, Imola, and followed up by Canada, Spain, Austria, Britain before the halfway break. Hello.
I have to go pretty quickly. So.
All right, so one question per each then for me and Titan. So you got to help the safety car after, I think it was Skither had his moment and his controller wheel, whatever it was, disconnecting. Talk us through your thought process once you saw Leo Lund or heard Leo Lund on used tires and needing to pit again. Did you think the race was completely in your control at that point when that happened?
In my control or out of my control?
In your control.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured I would have had the win because everyone had penalties behind me. And then I got literally like a monster of a restart on the first one. Like, I think I had a 4-second gap, so I was just gonna chill. And then Tadpole intentionally crashed and caused another safety car. So, that was a little frustrating because I knew the chiller was gonna be silly and ERS on me. But yeah, after Leo crashed, I mean, I was happy for a P2 after the first start of the season. But after Leo crashed, I was like, oh, I can win this. Okay. Kind of a Mickey Mouse win, but I'll take that. I think you need those sometimes.
Well, if you're going to suggest that Tadpole intentionally crashed, I would definitely like to see the clip before.
Footage, okay.
All right, so
Footage,
all right, there you go. That's all right. There you go. So that maybe a fair accusation after all. Titan, you're going to be heard through the background for Cookie, but you'll be heard on stream. Any questions for Cookie you have?
The only question I have is we're taking advantage of that mishap that Leo had, and wanting your first win of season 11. Was this the much needed confidence booster that you and the Red Bull team needed, or is there like a bit more work to do to to basically get more motivation and more of a back?
There's definitely a lot more work to do. I don't think I was. I think I was probably second or third quickest of the race. Maybe fourth. I think that Gecko had more pace than me. And then obviously Leo, but there's definitely more work to do. I just don't feel confident in this car. The game itself, I feel alright on, but the car, I just am not gelling with. But yeah, that first stint, I was pushing like 110% to keep up with him, and he dropped me by like lap 9. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm just, it was kind of a free win because of that, but I'm glad that I got it, and don't know how many of those I'll get this season, but I'm glad I was there when it mattered, because I mean, I wasn't there the 1 week he messed up. I was there, so yeah, I'm just content.
Congrats on the win. Well deserved, I would say.
Thank you. Alright, ciao guys.
Enjoy. Good luck next week in Miami, Cookie. So, Titan, we've been asked to talk about a Driver of the Day contender. Who would you give Driver of the Day to from today's event?
Oh, I mean, well, let's see. In regards to,
Maybe TB?
to be fair, in regards to who I think will probably be getting it, um, honestly, I would probably just say, and this is going to be super controversial, I think Driver today, just because of how he managed to get himself back after a very abysmal qualifying, and just keeping it calm, holding on really strong, and the strategy working out nicely for him. Jack, I'm giving it to Jack because he started P17 after Q and was knocked out of Q1.
And
he got all the way up into third place. That is, and with the strategy working out perfectly for him, I say fair credit to him. I think he is probably my pick. I mean, yes, like I said, it is controversial, but I think he is a definite contender. He is a definite my pick for Driver today. Contenders for it, Cookie, fair credit to him, getting his first win. Very solid run for him. Red Fire, another one, a very strong.
Gotta include TB.
He was running really strongly. I thought he was gonna pull off an upset podium, and
Finally,
then TB as well.
TB
is my is probably my last contender for a Driver today. I mean, yeah, some of you might would expect maybe, oh, he's gonna pick Leo Lund in a contender thing. I mean, despite him pulling off that last ditch charge, I mean, the mistake, it fucked him over. He had to deal with it. But I think with how the others have been doing, I think it far ways better than how Leo handled.
Yeah, Cookie just submitted the incident where supposedly Tadpole crashed on purpose. Do we see a Season 5 Imola type of thing where he gets disqualified from the event and something happens there to his academy role? I don't know. We'll find out what happens there.
I mean, to be fair, Skither's is being disqualified for being in the slower car, which is a violation of the rule book. We don't know if G&T is going to be facing any punishment either.
And J&T allowed that to happen. He also, from a Ferrari Academy standpoint, you were a part of the Academy at one point. I'm technically not a part of it. I put my admin role over my duty of driving in academies, but from the Ferrari Academy standpoint, you talk about if anything's going to happen there or whatnot with that. Well, he keeps moving people around to where there's no stability or no loyalty in an academy, and whether that's through a driver wanting to do so or not, you've got to wonder with these guys, did they really want to be a part of Ferrari Academy in the first place, or did they not? Why are they moving? There's a lot of questions to be raised. That's for sure. And these trades as well. Are you going to give up people that easily, or what are you getting in return for it? A lot of questions that need to be asked toward J&T, especially not just because of the trades, like I mentioned, but because of allowing Skither to go to a Haas and maybe just not really reading the rule book, you know? It's not that he's dumb at all, but it's the fact that I just don't know if he thinks a lot, and I don't mean to be mean, but, you know, it's an academy member, and it's with all due respect, because we want to see people do better, whether they're in an academy spot or not, a driver, whatever it is. But yeah, driver of the day for me, Jack Miles, easy. That man impresses me all the time, whether it's off the track or on the track. I think if I'm correct, let me just verify this. He does pass Mally 41 for all-time podiums on the Tier 1 list. Top 10 there for him. Fair play. Maybe the weekend he needed to do that. I don't know. Yeah, Jack Miles needed it. Red Fire needed that kind of weekend. Full-time Tier 2 driver. Yeah, there's a lot of people who needed good weekends, and they had it. TB as well, a second runner-up for driver of the day. And I say it like, you know, because, well, for TB's case, look at him. He needed a top 5 finish after so many bad qualifyings in that V car. I wouldn't even say bad qualifyings, but a lot of unluckiness and things not going TB's way, a previous champion. So, folks, Miami next week. We're going to find out what ends up happening there for the Grand Prix. Round 5 of the season. Round 5 for all of our tiers next week as well. Halfway point for some. For Tier 1, it's our first quarter of the way done after we complete that event next week. Miami, Ryan Searles, RPL Tight Iron. Home race for us for commentary. We're signing off. We'll see you then.